Hey, Water Review Man here. I want to ask the question today, what should you look for in a hydrogen water bottle? Or put another way, when you're going about trying to buy a hydrogen water bottle, what are some considerations you should have? What should you look for as you're reading those descriptions of the bottles? And that's what I want to talk about today. So the first thing I would recommend looking at are what are called the ppms or ppbs. That stands for parts per million or parts per billion. What that refers to is the amount of hydrogen per liter of water. And why that's significant is if you know anything about hydrogen water, you know that kind of the more hydrogen, the better. There's a lot of health benefits, a lot of scientific studies that purport to provide a lot of health benefits to highly hydrogenated water. And so what you want to look for when buying a hydrogen bottle, because they're not all the same. I mean, there's a lot of products out there. Some are great, some are probably not so great. But what you want to look for is, and most of them will advertise, they'll say ppm or ppb. And be aware that oftentimes companies will advertise the ppbs because it sounds a lot more impressive. It's a bigger number, in other words. It'll be like, 2,000 ppbs of hydrogen in the water, but that would be about 2 ppms. And so just be aware of those things. And what you want to find is ideally more than 4 ppms is really good. And so that would be the first thing to look for. It doesn't have to be 4. I'm just giving that as some of the top hydrogen water bottles out there produce 4 or higher ppms of hydrogen water. That'd be the first thing. The second thing, which is kind of related to the first, is the time cycle. So there are time cycles. So when you get a hydrogen water bottle, usually there's a button you push and it takes a certain amount of time to create the hydrogen water, to get those ppms. Something to pay attention to, because you might be waiting 20 minutes to get those ppms. A lot of hydrogen water bottles, that is how long it takes to get the really high ppm of, 8 ppm, for instance, will take 20 minutes, which is fine if you're going about to really improve your health and you're wanting that high ppm and I'm going to be waiting 20 minutes, a few times a day or however often to get that highly concentrated hydrogen water. But something to pay attention to is, what are the time cycles? How long am I going to be waiting for that hydrogen water? And a lot of hydrogen bottles have multiple time settings. So it might be, 5 or 6 minutes for a lower ppm. And then it might be, they'll have a higher amount of time, a longer time cycle to get more hydrogenated water. But something you want to pay attention to when you're looking at those descriptions. Third thing you want to take a look at are the ounces of the hydrogen bottle. A lot of the hydrogen water bottles are only 9 ounces, which is smaller. And there's 9-ounce ones, there's 10, and there's a lot of them are 12 ounces. So just something to be aware of if you're depending on your hydrogen bottle to kind of be your main water source through the day. You're going to be filling it up a lot if it's only 9 ounces. I'd prefer the 12-ounce ones, but something to think about. The next item that I think is important is the reliability or the trustworthiness of the company that is selling the bottle. Obviously, there are companies that are very reputable, and there are ones that maybe you don't know anything about. In the hydrogen water space right now, there are many hydrogen water bottles for sale on Amazon or elsewhere where you can find out virtually nothing about the company. They have an Amazon shop and that's it. And you have no idea, how long this company's been around. They report that they have certifications, and yet, there's not a lot else to go off of other than their own word. And I don't know, personally, I prefer companies that have their own website in addition to a hydrogen or a Amazon storefront. That's just me, though. but it's something to think about. There are really reputable companies out there like Echo Water or Purify that I like. Evolved is another hydrogen water company that's based out of Australia. That's good. Those are not the only ones by any means, but it's just something to think about. Is, do a little digging into the company and make sure that you're getting a hydrogen water bottle that is going to have, well, for one thing, maybe customer service. If it's something that you're going to want some assistance with, maybe do a little more digging into that. The last thing is maybe the most obvious thing that people want to look at, which is the costs. What's the price of this thing? And it's something to consider, but you also want to know that quite often, as in any kind of purchase, you get what you pay for. So a lot of the cheapest hydrogen water bottles out there are those that maybe have only an Amazon shop, and maybe they're based out of China, or who knows where. You'll never find anything out about the company. You could spend $15-20 on that hydrogen bottle, and it's probably going to give you very low ppm. It might still do you some good, but you do get what you paid for. Not to say that the most expensive is always going to be the best, but you do want to think of it as an investment. But financial factors are a real consideration, and so it's just another factor to consider. Check out waterreviewman.com for hydrogen water reviews and other water bottle reviews, water related reviews, and some hydrogen water research. If this was helpful, like and subscribe. Look forward to talking to you next time.